Okay, so it is 6 o'clock, and as always, we are starting another part of our recovery series. A little bit of a different setup today. I got a nice stuffed animal in the background and a few Wonder Woman posters. Um, so, as we've talked about in previous weeks, and we've kept hinting at over and over and over, we're finally getting a chance to really focus on working out at home. Um, Obviously, in many of our other series, both foam rolling, stretching, yoga, all those other things that we've been able to do, a lot of them have at-home components. But now we're going to really focus on how can you work at home, work out at home, and have a really, really productive time. So we're going to start out really, really big picture, right? So this is more of an obvious one, but for those who want to make a really, really, really big investment. So if you had a spare room in your house or you had a garage, we're going into the winter months, and you said, hey, gyms have been closed for too long. I normally go to the gym regularly, but now I'm trying to figure out um, what I'm going to do at home and how I'm going to get the same lift in. The easiest way to do that is to recreate your own gym at your house. Um, the main reason we're starting out here big is because I think for a lot of people, they have a hard time figuring out what they want to truly start off with. Um, Generically speaking, the easiest way to try to start off a weight room for yourself in the house is you're going to want mainly some type of flat bench that has the option of going to an incline and a decline if you can. If you're just stuck with a flat bench, that's fine. There's a lot you can do with that. If you're going to get just a flat bench, you also might want to get just an incline bench. That's why having one that will do all three for you is always a great way to get one tool that does multiple things. If you're working out by yourself, this is fantastic. If you're working out with, say, you or your family, then you know that you might have kind of a choke point that if you would like to work out on the flat bench and someone else would like to as well, it may be more beneficial to have multiple stations where you have an incline bench, a decline bench, and a flat bench so that different people can hit different exercises however they see fit. Um, Now, you can do a formal bench press setup where this is going to be associated with a bar and some kind of rack to have the weight directly over you. But if you just have the bench that can do decline, incline, and flat, you could also use something like your squat rack as also a bench rack as well, depending on the settings. So, for that being said, the obvious next thing that we're going to suggest is you getting yourself some type of solid four-post squat rack. The reason that these are so versatile and used so often is that if you get something, you can go to a lot of places to get these. So just to shout out a few brands really quick, Rogue is the obvious one. They are a little pricey, but they're going to have everything that we're talking about, and they're going to have it very, very fashionable. Now, you don't really need it to be fashionable, but if you're looking to spend the money and you're looking to get that look, Rogue is always the look that everyone kind of imagines. You can also go to places like York Barbell, which is also going to have many of the same things. And you're going to find that they're going to be a little bit more affordable. And depending on what area you live in, again, always talking to people in the Northeast, York is right out there in Pennsylvania. So if you're in quarantine and you've been kind of stir crazy and you're looking for a little bit of an adventure to give yourself, you could order this, go all the way down to York, pick it up for yourself, drive all the way back. It's going to save you a lot of money on freight, and it's going to make it so you can get everything that you need there. The reason that we're suggesting places like that is that these companies sell literally everything you could need to start a home gym. So we just want to give you a few companies so you can kind of start your searching. And then if you want to kind of continue and just look for various other things, you'll find what you need. So we talked about having a flat bench, an incline bench, and a decline bench. A little tip we want to talk about is that if you're going to have one that does all three, really pay attention to what mechanism decides how it goes to decline, incline, and flat. Um, there's a lot of mechanisms that work, a lot of really, really good mechanisms. But you want to be sure that whatever the mechanism that you're using, that it's obviously heavy duty, and it's one that's going to be able to take the load and possibly give you multiple positions. Two of my favorites. One is going to be a rail system where you're going to have an incline position where when you pull it up, there's going to be wheels on the bottom that it just kind of like goes on a rail and then falls right into place. And then you can adjust the incline with basically a peg that screws in and out. And then when you want to go to flat, you just kick it down it goes into place, and then the bench lies completely flat. Um, they do have ones that also go decline in this same thing, where it would just continue to swing. But like I said, you really just want to pay attention to that mechanism. I know in the past, when I've tried to go to places like a Dick's Sporting Goods or a Modell's, or really just kind of like a sportswear store, and you get one of these benches that do all three, that mechanism is sometimes only anchored on kind of one side. So you basically have a pivot point, and you have a pin system that the pin's on one side and the anchor point's on the other. And sometimes, if that's not built well, or if you're trying to lift heavy and you're getting into 200 and 300 pounds, sometimes that can cause a little bit of a twisting of the bench because it's not really sat in well on all 4 points when you're going through all four motions. So some of the benefits of having just a incline bench, just a decline bench, and just a flat bench is almost every one of those benches is going to be able to handle whatever it is that you need. Whenever you get one that does multi-positions, you're going to want to pay attention to that joint or that pivot point. Just kind of be known that if you're spending the money, you'd like it to last for multiple years. And for some of these, if you're not spending the money, it may only last you for a year or two, especially if you're constantly moving it, especially if you're doing dumbbell and straight bar, and especially if you're going to try to go heavy. So if you're really trying to get as much use out of your gym as possible, it is important to really pay attention and just kind of double check those reviews and make sure that you kind of spend the money once and you spend it smart. You know, obviously, if you don't have the full amount to spend and you got to go a little bit cheaper, take a chance. You know what I mean? You might be in a better situation later on where you can reinvest in this and get a little bit more well invested. But again, it's just little things to kind of look out for. Another great way to also save some money. This is a great time of year where individuals, because Christmas is coming up, if you made a big investment in a home gym and it just did not work out, they may be getting rid of a lot of these things. I know it's terrible to say, but there's also a lot of smaller gyms that if they were not able to open and they weren't able to stay open, they're also going to be trying to get rid of a lot of their stuff. If not in whole, maybe in part. So you may be able to go to your old gyms or things like that and just kind of ask them like, hey, like, were you guys selling any of your older equipment? Anything commercial grade is going to be fantastic for your house. It's going to have great longevity. But these are just a few different ways that you can save money. I know one of the common things that colleges do and just fitness centers in general do is that as soon as one's going out of business, they're going to try to make large investments and maybe buy all their equipment for like $15,000. They're getting a huge savings, and that business that's going out of business is going to get some type of cash out because they're going to have to get rid of all that equipment. It's just too expensive to store. It's too heavy to move. Now, going into a few other aspects, a few other things that you may want. We talked about the bench. We talked about having some type of squat rack. Again, we just emphasized a 4-post squat rack. We probably want to have a minimum of about 400-pound capacity on that squat rack. Obviously, they go much, much higher than this. But the reason why I say 400 pounds is that the idea is that you're going to get an Olympic set, which is going to be an Olympic bar with about 300 pounds. For the vast majority of us, that's a really good way to start. This time of year, right around Black Friday, is a fantastic time to buy. You may be able to get these sets with a rack, everything I'm mentioning for under $500. For some of you, that might seem a lot. For others, that you might think I'm a liar. The Olympic set should be right around 100 to 150 bucks if you're lucky. You should be able to get a squat rack if you're lucky, right around the 250 range. The bench is going to be the toss-up. That's going to be where you're going to be able to find that money and find that really good deal to stay under 500. But given it's Black Friday and given the way businesses have been hurting lately, it's kind of expected that there's going to be some really good sales coming up. So you should be able to really capitalize at this time of year on trying to build an at-home system. The last thing that we're going to try to mention that's going to be an absolute must is you may want to get some type of bicep bar, so some type of multi-position bar or some type of specialty bar that you like using. So say it's something like a bamboo bar, or say it's specifically like a cleaning bar, or say it's specifically like an extra strong squat bar that, you know, doesn't have any bend in it whatsoever. If you know there's something you like, make sure that you get it. It's okay to spend that little extra money on getting some of the boutique things that you know that you're going to enjoy using. I don't want to say the last aspect, but one of the other last key components is going to be a solid dumbbell set. Um, I don't love those sets where the weights kind of interchange and you got to pull this and pull that and they kind of lock in. But if you're looking to get a lot of weights for a small amount of money, you can go that direction. I do think it's a little bit more cost effective to try to get used dumbbells. Um, Dumbbells kind of last forever. If you're getting something like a York dumbbell or even like the Rogue, really any quality dumbbell that you find is going to last forever. Even if they're rusted, there's a ton of videos online to show you how to get the rust off these dumbbells, how to clean them well, how to repaint them so they look really new and nice. And you can get a really, really good deal on finding these dumbbells used in secondhand. The reason why we always recommend kind of going used in secondhand, and you'll have people always talk about this, is that sorry, the shipping. The shipping on just clear weight is very, very heavy. So for a lot of these, you'll find a great deal online where you can go and find something. But to ship it to wherever you are may be very, very expensive because all of these items, if you're getting 2 pairs of 50s, 265s, 275s, 225s, 235s, next thing you know, you're ordering 300 pounds worth of weight. And that's a very expensive thing. When you go to buy them in something like a store, sometimes you almost pay $1 a pound. So when you're in Modell's or a Dick's Sporting Goods and you're paying close to $1 a pound for a dumbbell, that's a little bit more on the expensive end. And if you can afford it, fantastic. But if you can't, you'll pay under 50 cents a pound normally when you're buying it on the used market. And again, weight's weight. You know, if you're buying a reputable brand, it's going to be a correct weight. You're going to know that what you're getting is what you correctly want to find. And if you're nervous, you can always bring a $20 scale with you just to get this is close enough to 65. Oh, they're both weighing in at 64.5. Well, that's fine. You know, little things like that you can do to try to make sure. Understand that the cheaper the scale that you buy, the more off it may be. So it may be off by 2 pounds. So if you look at your scale and it says 64, that means that could be anywhere from 66 to 62. But you know that, hey, it's exactly where it should be. And this dumbbell is probably it was probably made to a better spec than your scale, if that makes sense. So if you're using that method just to make sure that you're getting a good buy and things that aren't worn out or broken or things like that, again, just kind of understand that when you go and check these things out, you can bring things like a scale, obviously pick them up, do a few reps, things like that, see if it feels right to you, see if there's any shaking or wobbling or noises. Does anything spin on one that shouldn't have done another? Just little things like that when you're going into the used market to make sure that you kind of get everything that you need. Again, this can be a much more cost-effective way to get those things. Lastly, some of the miscellaneous things that people might like, and this is just little stuff. You may want to get little grips. You may want to get your straps if you don't already have them, your weight belts. We're also talking here about getting things like your elastic bands for doing any kind of warm-up work or things of that nature. And then, like I said, anything that you'd regularly use at the gym that you enjoy, that you wouldn't necessarily bring and would be lucky enough to find there. So this also falls into the category of like medicine balls or yoga balls, anything that you'd regularly use. These medicine balls, again, are going to be more of a significant expense. You don't need to start out and get everything all at once. But something like a yoga ball is going to be relatively cheap. Funny enough, Amazon, really, I find like things like TJ Maxx and Marshalls, you get amazing buys on stuff like that because they just kind of have them and they're always selling them for like $4.99 sometimes because it's just not really a big part of their store. But they do sell it and they're just trying to get rid of it. So again, we're just trying to throw out some really good places in order to find these things. But that pretty much sums up making a home gym. I do think the one thing you want to focus on after you kind of have figured out where you're going to buy all your stuff is 2, cardiovascular equipment. Do you already have something like a spin bike, a treadmill, a row machine, a stepper, anything that you kind of, an elliptical as well, anything where you're going to want to kind of complete out your cardio. Again, something like a rower, a spin bike, and a treadmill are going to be great things to kind of finish your cardio on, but it could be as simple as a jump rope. We don't have to go that much over the top. We want to also remember that we're going to probably want pads under every single one of these, depending upon the surface that we're making this in our house. So if for some reason you're putting this equipment on wood floors, yeah, you're going to want some kind of type of foam flooring or high density pad in order to not ruin your floors. If you're going to go in the garage where there's concrete or things like that, again, you're going to want to make sure that when the weights are going down, they're not chipping or breaking anything and things of that nature. And you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your investments. Also, when you get these various pads and things like that, it makes it that it's going to make your gear last longer. It's going to make the house that you're putting in last longer, but it's also going to be less wear and tear on your weights and on your things as a whole. I know some people love to go bumper plates because they're going to really throw down the weight and they feel like they absolutely need it. While other people feel like they can get something like a deadlift platform and just do regular weights on that, and they don't feel like they're going to be giving nearly as much kind of punishment down to the floor there. But these are little things you're going to want to think about when you're saying to yourself, am I going to go out and buy a home gym? Kind of like a price range that we're thinking about here is that you could get lucky and get that spin bike for kind of 500 and under. But they sit that right around 500 to 800 for a quality one is a pretty regular price, and they go as high as 1200 or more, depending on how in depth you want that to be and how much time you plan to spend on it. If you're looking for something that is in the treadmill department, again, they kind of start for a quality machine that you're going to use regular, right around 1200. So again, being Black Friday and this time of year, this is a great time for you to get a lot for your money. So you can make these kind of commitments. But just for the cardio equipment alone, you might be looking at something closer to $2,000 to $3,000. And then for your weights alone, we're trying to get the basic stuff for right around 500, but you're probably going to end up with all kind of auxiliary pieces that you like, somewhere more to the $800 to $1,000 range. So you kind of want to say to yourself, how much money am I looking to put into this? Is this something where I want to go free weights and try to create my own gym? Do I just want my own cardio room? Or do I just want a little bit of cardio I can get in while I'm stuck inside during my winter months? So you may just get only the treadmill or only the spin bike or only the row machine. By the way, row machines, you can actually get a pretty solid row machine for a little bit cheaper. I know I've gotten some quality ones for right around $400, $300. Obviously, they go up to almost 800, 1200, right up in that range. But for the most part, the $400 to $500 ones have never really done me wrong. Regular everyday use, 4 or 5 months at a time. And again, it gets me doing the activity that if I wanted to reinvest in 2 years, I don't feel bad about reinvesting 1200 there. And that's how I kind of started out with row machines. They're one of the few machines that I feel exercise bikes, if we're not talking about a spin bike, specifically an exercise bike, something where you're going to be sitting up, you don't really care about the form, you don't really care about it being very close to regular biking, you're just looking to do some type of biking motion with resistance. Exercise bikes too, you can kind of cheap out on. You can be in the $300-400 range very, very easily, and getting something off of Amazon or getting something that's highly recommended that's cheap, or even getting something secondhand that was a little bit more expensive. You can get that for much cheaper. But just understand, like those spin bikes or the Pelotons or things like that, they're going to be a little bit more expensive. And you're going to end up paying for it. But realistically, those are meant to kind of last forever. They have very few wear and tear parts on there that are going to break down. And every person that I know that buys those, I mean, you're looking at a 5 to 10 year span no matter what. When I'm talking about some of this cheaper equipment in the $300 range, I think you're looking more like 2 to 4 at most. I think if it broke at the 2 range, you're not going to be too upset about it. You're going to say, I use this every day for 2 years. I put a ton of mileage on this thing, and I definitely got my money's worth out of it. For some of you, you might not feel that way, but for exercise equipment, again, I'm just telling you, I feel like at that price point, 2 years of everyday use, fantastic. If you're looking at maybe 2 to 4 years of everyday use, great. Those are things where if you're still getting the work that you need out of it, that's a really, really great buy for you. If you're looking to go the other route while exercising at home, and I know we're going a lot into this home gym kind of scenario, but I figured we're going to talk about the most expensive investments and building that at-home gym with everything you need. We're talking probably a $3,000 investment minimum if you're really trying to get commercial grade equipment that is going to mimic a true gym. You have both cardio, free weight, and everything that you need. And let's not mention you're going to want to mount the flat screen somewhere in there, because that's what you need to mimic the true gym. And of course, some type of radio system to get your music bumping if you don't want to just have headphones on. So these are just little things that you want to think about when you're trying to go all in there. Now, if you want to make a solid investment, but still get a really quality experience, you have things like iFit coming out of the NordicTrack line, and you have things obviously like Peloton, where you're buying a $2,000 to $3,000 piece of equipment. You're going to have a monthly membership, somewhere around $25 to $30 a month, if I can remember correctly. Normally, you can get the year packages for much cheaper. I believe the iFit you can get for under $150. Again, especially this time of year, that's why we saved this video. This Black Friday, Christmas time is when they're trying to do their sales. So we wanted to make sure that we talked about all these things when you guys could get it at the cheapest. Doing it at the beginning of the summer was not going to get you too many sales or too much benefit. When we talk about like the Pelotons and things like that, that's for someone that wants more of that studio experience where they're doing primarily gym classes at the gym, and they're not really self-guided or working with a personal trainer. It's really good, obviously, that you can have something like that with a screen that's built in. They have a number of different workouts. They basically have an at-home quality thing. I kind of swayed towards the iFit a little bit more, only because Peloton is very expensive. I feel at their price point, my biggest complaint is their warranty. I feel like the warranty on their devices should be minimum 5 years at the price point that you're paying. I don't believe it's that. Again, if I'm wrong, sorry to Peloton. But if you go in at that kind of high-end quality, it feels like that you should be getting, for all that you're putting in there, a better warranty. I believe when I last looked into it, they were only giving you a 1 year. And there were some caveats, like I know when I looked at getting the exercise bike, if I moved it from the spot where it was delivered, there technically it would void my warranty because I could have damaged it while moving it. It was a weird caveat that they put in, but they wanted to specifically take out that if I moved it and broke it during that time frame, they were not going to be liable for it. Now, obviously, you can move your exercise bike from one place to another, but I believe they just wanted to make sure that you were aware that if you were going to be moving it back and forth every day, and you're going to tell them that you're moving it back and forth every day, that's probably going to void that 1 year warranty, because they're assuming that you may have been putting wear and tear from unnecessary moving because you're trying to fit into a house where maybe it doesn't fit. But again, I digress. We don't need to get that much into warranties. That's not really what this is about. But again, that NordicTrack, I believe iFit works with a number of different components, but you can go just to the iFit. If you just type in NordicTrack iFit, they'll tell you everything that goes along with it. But it's basically very similar to Peloton. It's virtual workouts that you can do while on their machines. Now, these machines that do the virtual workouts are very expensive. But if that's something that's going to work for you, then again, it's something to look into and worth doing. Me personally, I would rather go these next two routes. And that's why we're going to spend the majority of this talking about our next two topics specifically, because I think that they're the better choices. One of the ways that I would do this is we talked about getting into it and just diving right in there, getting really far into the deep end, really big investment, having commercial grade equipment that's going to work great. Now, this is something that I would say is something more like testing out the waters, right? You are able, and we have talked about this in the past, to still have something like an iFit membership and possibly stream that on a television so that you can watch it through the app that they have and still follow along on almost any exercise bike. You just have to bike along with them, you know? Now, that being said, you could go the other route and say you don't really need an iFit membership. You can go to other apps and subscriptions where they're specifically designed for you not to have a screen, where you'll be watching it on a television or a computer screen or whatever it is. And those are things like Beachbody On Demand or Studio Sweat. Studio Sweat On Demand, I'm sorry. Studio Sweat On Demand is specifically a studio level experience. So they have like, you're doing cycling and it's as if you're in a cycling class. They have, I believe, navigated rides. They have basically like at-home cardio routines, but they have yoga routines. They're trying to mimic that studio quality gym experience through an app that you can watch online. They have a number of different activities you can do. It does not matter what type of bike you're on. You can be on any type of equipment you feel like. If you want to cheap out, if you want to have something a little bit more expensive, if you want to borrow one from a friend, any one of those things you can do. These are really, really good options. And those memberships will normally cost you about $100 a year. That's normally the magical price point. Beachbody On Demand is similar, but different in the sense that you don't really need anything at your own house. Studio Sweat, you may want to have 20-pound dumbbells. You may want to have a yoga mat. You may want to have a stretching strap. You're going to want to have a bike if you're going to do the cycling things. But again, you'll know what you need to minimally buy, less than a $300 investment, in order to get studio quality workouts where you feel like you're interacting with a trainer as you go. Now, mind you, it's not completely personalized, but it is still a really good quality thing with a very, very low investment as far as what you need to take out of your pocket. Now, this is one that I enjoy, but as we go into our next topic, because it's kind of brings you back to the heyday of what was around as I was growing up. This is the Beachbody On Demand. These are things that need little to no equipment. It is also about a $100 membership for a year. And basically, I think we've talked about this in the past. Beachbody On Demand is all of those infomercial workouts that you remember, P90X, Insanity, Brazilian butt lift, 10-minute abs, 20-minute abs, you know, I don't know, 15-minute doubts, well, whatever you want to call it. But 90% of those infomercials that you remember, especially the really popular ones, it seems like one group bought out every single workout, and they're now offering all of them at one low, low price. So if you remember, these exercises or these workout videos were like 120 bucks, you know? That was back when you would order Just Insanity or P90X or, you know, Beachbody workout or whatever these different workouts are. Now you are able to access every one of those workouts for only $100. These workouts are designed to be primarily body weight, very little equipment needed. They have numerous workouts there. I mean, I cannot tell you, it looked like hundreds of individual workouts, but I mean actual programs with many individual workouts. I think Insanity had like 63 days of workouts. You know, P90X has 100 days of workouts. You know, like Brazilian butt lift has 53 days of workouts. So you're looking at hundreds and hundreds of different days of workouts where you'll never have to do the same workout twice for the mere price of $100 a year. Obviously, it's more expensive if you do it for a 6-month plan or a 3-month plan. But when you buy that plan, the $100 for the whole year, it's really effective at not needing to put a huge investment out of your own pocket. It's much cheaper than a year-long like gym membership. And gyms have so many caveats right now, depending on where you are, if you can get in there or not. And it stops you from having to buy a whole bunch of equipment yourself. All you really need is to have either a smartphone to follow along, or you can just put it up on your TV. Sometimes you have to use like the web portal on your TV, but I've found that these actually work really well. They normally have apps for like the Roku and like Apple TV and things like that. So it's really easy to kind of flip through them. And I found them really good at kind of being very accessible without having a very large financial commitment. We can go even cheaper though. That's the best part about this. And that's why we kind of saved this aspect for the end. Even though I love Beachbody workouts, and even though I do love things like Studio Sweat, for some people that $100 investment is still too much. And if you're not sure if you're really going to get into, say, working out at home, the best way to try working out on your own right now, I truly feel, is YouTube. Mind you, there is hundreds of fitness YouTubers out there. Not everyone is doing amazing things, but the vast majority are doing pretty much exactly what these Beachbody workouts are doing. And they're doing it on their own and filming it for you and giving you workouts that you can do. Now, the one caveat that we really have to say with this is that the vast majority of the Studio Sweats and like the Beachbody On Demand, those have fitness professionals that are actually coming through with certifications and making programs that they understand if they were to get you hurt, like you'd be liable, that they'd be liable in some way, shape, or form. You know, if a million people hurt themselves doing P90X, there's going to be lawsuits that they're going to have to deal with, and they're kind of mindful of that. You know what I mean? They're looking to make you sore, but they're not looking to hurt you. On the YouTuber aspect, you kind of want to go for larger YouTubers. I just have a few different kind of examples here. There's like MadFit, Pamela Reif. Basically, think about the way that you'd like to exercise. If you would like to do Zumba style stuff, you can literally type in Zumba and say, you know, Zumba workouts. And I'm sure there are Zumba instructors who are making YouTube videos that are very, very similar to what the Zumba workouts are. It's something you can try out and see that you enjoy. Then you can look into dance style workouts and find something that kind of fits the best for you. But it's a great starting point where you're not investing any money. You're pretty much just using your television or using your phone in order to find new things that you can do. Again, if you're looking for just purely weight training, you're not going to really find a YouTube equivalent. You might find places that are telling you workouts that you can do, but you're still going to need a place to do it. If you're looking strictly for body work, you can always go to different YouTube professionals and kind of see what it is they're trying to do. And always, we have 4 programs a week, every single week that we've been putting on right here on our YouTube channel as well. They're all being done by healthcare professionals. They're all being done by they're all being done by strength conditioning professionals who have certifications, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees. So if you want to try yoga, if you want to try strength training, if you want to try things like that, you can always go to our YouTube channel. We have a link on the Queen's Knights webpage. If you're already watching this, then you're already familiar with our YouTube channel. That's the amazing thing about it. That's why we're doing this, to make a very free, easy, and approachable way of exercising at home. But obviously, we understand that there's different things for different people. We're trying to set something up for a really approachable place for you to get a start. And this is talking about how you're going to take the next step and work on to bigger and better things. If you're not sure where you sit in this, I emphasize, try out our workouts. If you've already gone through our workouts and you say, man, I need more, then go on and look for other fitness YouTubers. You literally can type in fitness YouTubers and a million hits pop up. If you're still having a hard time there, call it easy and say, hey, I know I'm interested in this. I'm willing to spend money. I can try one of these $100 Studio Sweat programs. They normally have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Try it out for 30 days. Make sure to mark that on your calendar. Give yourself a good try. If for some reason you're not enjoying it, cancel it. It's not going to cost you anything. They might charge you just for the first month that you used, but you're going to have a very minimal investment while having a lot of resources of things that are very, very useful for you to try. Again, I will put a little caveat here. These are not really meant to change your life. They're meant to give you exercises. It's on you to make the time and make the commitment to exercise every single day. When we talk about this, obviously, it's always hard to work out at home because it's so hard to break bad habits when they're staring at you 5 feet away. Many of us are going to be working out in our living rooms, in our computer rooms, in our bedrooms, where 3 feet from where we're exercising, we could be sitting down, laying down, relaxing. It's very hard to break those bad habits when they're right there sitting next to you. So obviously, at home is a very, very challenging thing. And we're trying to tell you about a lot of resources that you can use to try to embrace that challenge and succeed. One of the best things about exercising at home and having a really, really good at home plan is that it really does build you up well to have really great habits. And then the next step would be some of our outdoor training that we covered in our last video. And then after that, you can actually go to something that's a little bit bigger, like a gym, or maybe even some type of competitive sport of some kind that you now feel that you'd like to get back into. It is important to note that if you're having a lot of trouble exercising at home and you're just having a terrible time self-starting, a great aspect is there are trainers that you can look up. Contact your gyms, especially if they're closed. Tell them you're looking for someone to do training at home. I'm sure they have someone who's willing to come in a mask, cleaned up, making sure that they're doing all types of following all types of COVID criteria, and exercise with you right there at the house. Again, there might be a large financial commitment with this, but if you're trying to figure out different options, we're going to try to give you as many options as you can. And whenever you're going to need outside help, the more outside help you need, the more expensive it gets. So those are kind of little things that you can talk about there. Like always, if there's any comments, any questions, anything that you're concerned about, always throw it in the comments. We will answer. I don't think there's anything we haven't answered. Just double checking, making sure we hit on everything. Next week is sleep. We'll be going into what is sleep, how to be more dynamic with your sleep, how to get better sleeping habits, and what things can kind of help you in that nature. We're going to go kind of far down the rabbit's hole here. A lot of it is science. A lot of it, I don't want to call it pseudoscience because it's people that have done serious research and it's based on science, but it is theoretical. So it's a lot of opinion based, but we're trying to give you a lot of different resources on how to kind of reinvent your sleeping habits and try to optimize your sleeping to get better rest. Again, hope you join us next week. I hope you enjoy that topic. Again, if you're feeling bored, feeling lonely, reach out to someone, watch our other videos. Have a great weekend, guys.